Hi again, in case you're lost, this is the third of 3 emerging tech videos on the new technology tool Scoop.it, and I'm Dax Jacobson, Assistant Professor of Management Information Systems here at CSUCI. You were here because you hopefully watched video 1 and got excited about the potential of Scoop.it. You then watched video 2 to get the basics for how to get started. Now you want to see an example of how Scoop.it can be used in teaching. I'm going to walk you through my most recent example. I want to explain to you again, if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, or also as a refresher, why I use this tool. So I start each class with what I call What's the News? And in this section, I expect students to come with news items that relate to the concepts that we've talked about in class. So I want them to understand concepts, relate them to the news items, which we all do. We want people to understand the things that are happening to them in the world. So this is my way, my attempt of doing it. I've done this basically for every class I've ever taught, and I'm trying to find a way to use technology to enhance this. And so that's what Scoop is. So I'm going to log in here again. My CSUCI account. Oops. And my password. Log in here. So my curated topics, again, I have them for different classes. I'm going to focus on Business 550, which I taught this spring. This is an MBA class. I'm going to highlight it. The class is called The Contemporary Firm. Here we have the name of the Scoop.it content page, brief description, where I'm going to explain that I post news items and other relevant things to share with the class. So these are all, again, use the free version, which means I'm the only curator. So I have posts by me, but I have all of my students create an account and a content page. So you can see here their content page are named after our class. I follow them and they follow me. So they can see when I post news items, I can see when they post news items. So the class is called The Contemporary Firm. In it we talk about the major technology organizations. We talk about Amazon, Google, Facebook, and others. We also talk about how technology is changing the organizations that we work for, that we take classes from, for example, technology education. Trying to understand technology and organizations, how they interact and how they impact each other. So I ask students to post something each week with Scoop and be ready to discuss it at the beginning of class. I really liked how this worked. The class met once a week. This gave students a chance to find something at any point during the week and post it. I can see when students have posted, for example, see when they posted. I can see if they provided their own insight. I can see if other students commented. This wasn't required, but many of them did, as you can imagine. And I could also find other relevant topics if I saw sort of coalescing around certain topics or news items, and I know I might want to find something to be able to discuss that, or if there was some confusion about how it related to class. As you might expect, I had some students find several items each week, and they were eager to talk about every single one of them, and others who were shy and didn't feel comfortable saying much at all. But the nice thing about that is because they had this, they could at least use just the headline of the news item to provide sort of an introduction and stimulate some discussion. So it was great for students who really like to share and sometimes overshare, and others who are a little bit more shy. This greatly enhanced my What's the News section I do at the beginning of the class. Students really liked it based on the feedback they gave me, and then at the end the students had a record of items they found that they could then relate to content we covered. And I had a key record, both, for example, for exams and also for participation, as this was a key part of the participation points. So let's use an example here. One week we wanted to talk about privacy and security, so we had them find something related to privacy and security. And I purposefully kept things broad enough that they could have some creativity, but also need to be focused enough that they're not just finding any random thing. So privacy and security, pretty broad. You can see here, she found an item that says, all our worst fears about Google Glass are coming true and it's all your fault. And then she had some comment. Privacy concerns, for example, and we had a nice discussion about this. So that's one of the key concepts, one of the key takeaways to make this successful, is make sure it's broad enough that students can be creative in finding something, but focused enough that it's related to a concept you want to talk about in class. And so it really worked well. We didn't have time to discuss each and every item, but they needed to be ready to talk about them. That's really the second point, is that students need to understand that this was serious, that I was going to look at each of these each week, make sure that they had done something, and also that they could be called on at any time. So not every student was able to lead a discussion every class, but throughout the course of the class, every student knew that they would be called on at least once, that we'd really drill down on a concept that they had. The final thing I'd say was to make sure that we have fun, which I like to do in my classes anyways. So have, for example, if you had, you always get an inside joke or different comments in class that are fun to share with. Students might pull something up. So we have here from a student who talked about half of relationships contain Netflix adulterers, which is, as he mentioned, great marketing. They talk about how faithlessness is easy to find in Netflix relationships. The majority secretly would watch TV shows other than their partner. We had a nice, obviously a funny discussion about this, but also great marketing by Netflix and the way that Netflix is doing a great job with video. So there it is, a general overview of how I use Scoop.it in my class. An example from this past spring. Again, this was an MBA class with only 10 students. I understand that means I was able to do some things that you wouldn't be able to do in other classes, but I think there's great potential here. I have used it for larger classes where I didn't have them create an account but made them follow what I did each week, for example. They didn't have to have their own topic page. I have an idea to create groups, to do group work through Scoop.it, and I am considering upgrading with a $6.99 a month education so I can have up to 20 topics and up to 30 co-curate. So that's it. I hope that it's hopefully piqued your interest. Hope that you can find a way to make it work for you, because I think it's a really pretty cool tool that has a lot of functionality and a lot of flexibility. If you have any questions or suggestions for Scoop.it or other tools, please let me know, and thanks.